I enjoyed the Resident Evil 4 remake. I thought it was a solid game that tried its best to capture the essence of the original title and did a much better job than the Resident Evil 3 remake, but a lot of people are very mad at this game and some of the changes made to the title because the game has been getting review bombed on Metacritic by upset gamers, and now of course journalists are covering it, melting down saying evil gamers are reviewing it negatively for the worst possible reasons. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted, and of course if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, of course, Kotaku has decided to put out an article saying that the game is getting review bombed for the worst possible reasons, not actually taking into account the problems that people have with this title. It says, the Resident Evil 4 remake isn't a one-to-one clone, it's a sharper copy with gameplay tweaks, dialogue changes, and new voice actors, and people don't like that. I've been enjoying what I've found to be a well-oiled PS5 thriller, but I'm always up for honest criticisms, even with a hater's touch. Now, I did live stream a whole playthrough of this on the channel, and I did think it was pretty solid. Yes, it is different than the original. I wouldn't say that it is worse in a lot of ways, but unfortunately it does have worse qualities like changes to dialogue, outfit censorship. I am completely against those things. It says, though, unfortunately, most of what it has been getting for reviews aren't good, but byproducts of people getting mad. They didn't get what they want. Typically, yes, people will try a game and negatively review it if they don't get what they expected. The problem with all of these remakes and reimaginings is that I am someone who wants a one-to-one, and a lot of people who love the original games, in this case Resident Evil 4, want a one-to-one. We don't want someone new to come in and change things up and modernize it. We just want an accurate remake, and unfortunately, as more remakes are being made, we're getting farther away from that goal. It says people mercilessly review bombed it, criticizing Lily Gao's performance and the remake's supposed woke censorship, which translates to the removal of upskirt glances and some suggestive dialogue. Yes, these are all things that people have been heavily criticizing and deserve to be criticized. In my previous video, I did talk about Ada's voice actress and her allegedly receiving a lot of harassment to the point where she actually wiped her Instagram account, except she conveniently left up one post about white privilege, and all of the journalists jumped on that, saying, people are being toxic, and they bullied her off the internet. But we didn't get any proof that that happened. Yes, I have seen a lot of people say she didn't do a good job. Her job is to voice this character, and she did a poor job, and, people calling her out on that. But that isn't harassment. But people like the journalists at Kotaku will grab onto that and call well-deserved criticism harassment, which is ridiculous. But yes, I have covered all of these things. Also, the censorship, which they say translates to the removal of upskirt glances and some suggestive dialogue. Yeah, I mean, several lines of just Ada's alone were different than in the original game. Also, yes, Ashley's outfits were different, and you could no longer glance up her skirt, which isn't just glancing up her skirt. In the original game, you used to have dialogue where if Leon did that, she would shoo him away and call him a perv, which was very funny to a lot of people. That was comedic relief that is now removed from the game, and in other versions of the game, there were even achievements that you would earn for doing so. And yes, all of those things do add up. They might each individually seem small, but then by the end you have a pile of problems. I was surprised by the blowback to Lily's acting in particular, which I thought sounded natural, self-possessed, and a little sarcastic. I personally disagree. They did actually get this voice actress because she was in the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City movie, which was awful. I mean, the characters were completely different. They made Raccoon City a small little town. It basically changed everything from canon and went in its own direction, which I absolutely hated as a Resident Evil fan, but I just thought that her voice acting performance wasn't great. She is a very pretty woman, and I think that her voice isn't bad. I just do not think it fits with Ada. Now, they say that, the Resident Evil 4 soundtrack is being criticized, and then they end it with, have you ever spoken to a human woman without crying before? And this all leads back to the Metacritic scores, because they are looking pretty terrible. If we head on over here, the PC version of the game is currently sitting at a 5.2 user score. PlayStation 5 version is at a 6.8, and the Xbox Series X all the way down to a 4.5. And I will agree that some of the criticisms being levied here aren't really that warranted, in my opinion. Like, there are a lot of zeros here. In no way does this game deserve a 0. Okay, it was a pretty solid experience, but there are a lot of people leaving 4s and 5s just saying it is not what I wanted, and that is fair. Never played the original. This one plays clunky and weird. Gameplay is not fun. I think that that's hilarious, because if they thought that the gameplay in this was clunky, they would have hated the original, because they did try to smooth out some of the controls. I think they did an okay job. I don't think Capcom realized how difficult a job it was undertaking before this game came out. Make the best video game ever in history again? There are so many things to say before we start examining it that I don't know where to start. I mean, they wrote a novel in their review, which is great, but they do make some very important points, like there are a lot of sections from the original game that were removed. Of course, dialogue is different. Some of the boss fights are also very different and felt kind of toned back and just more basic. So yeah, I mean, there are some very serious and legitimate criticisms being levied at this game right now. I definitely do not think it was a 10 out of 10, but I also don't think that it's like a 2 or a 3. Obviously, though, the journalist behind this Kotaku article didn't actually want to take the time to read the negative reviews and see what people were criticizing. No, they simply wanted to attack us, saying, if you ask the evil gamers themselves, they don't need the sun, a glass of water, or a therapist. They are crusaders against censorship, rallying for the purity of video games. Yes, there are a lot of people out there who do rally for video games and crusade against censorship, and we should, because we shouldn't have to deal with censored content. We are adults. If we want to look up a fictional girl's skirt, we shouldn't be called, disgusting and pervs and sexists for doing that. We should be able to, because it's a video game at the end of the day. Of course, this journalist doesn't really give any good examples as to why people are review bombing this game, why people are upset over the content, and instead they just brush it off as people trying to crusade against censorship and saying, well, this game isn't woke, gamers just want something to be angry about, which of course is absurd. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.